Appendicular skeleton. There are 126 bones in appendicular skeleton. Introduction. It lies along the transverse axis of the body. Unlike axial skeleton, which lies along the longitudinal axis of the body, but appendicular skeleton, it lies along the transverse axis of the body. This is important. It includes two types of girdles: pectoral girdle and here is the pelvic girdle. Pelvic girdle where the femur or the thigh bone attaches to the hip. As I said earlier, that appendicular skeleton is formed of 126 bones and two types of girdles and limb bones. This is the forelimb, which is our hand, commonly known as hand, and leg or the hind limb. So these are the limb bones. Now, pectoral girdle. Two in number. This is one, right pectoral girdle and left pectoral girdle. So each pectoral girdle is formed of two bones: clavicle or the collarbone. It is narrow. Clavicle is narrow, more or less S-shaped. Our collarbone is S-shaped, more or less S-shaped, and it is a narrow bone, rod-like. Location of this clavicle: present between the sternum and the acromion process of the scapula. So this clavicle or the collarbone, it is present between the sternum, which is the breastbone, and the acromion process of the scapula. This is the acromion process of the scapula. Scapula is the shoulder blade. So this scapula has a process known as the acromion process, and this clavicle, which is the collarbone, is present between the acromion process and the sternum. And what is scapula? As I mentioned earlier, it is flat and triangular in shape. Location at the back of the shoulder. Okay. Now, what is glenoid cavity? If you see this shoulder girdle, there is a cavity where the humerus of the forelimb attaches. This is a cup-like depression in which the head of the humerus fits in. And what is the function of the pectoral girdle? Arm bones are attached and provide surface for attachment of biceps muscles. So pectoral girdle, it has two functions: arms are attached and provides attachment for many muscles, but most importantly biceps muscle. Now the pelvic girdle. You see in the picture given, pelvic girdle or the pelvis. Pelvic or the hip girdles, two in number. Let me show you. This is the pelvic girdle. Here also you find the pelvic girdle. The femur, which is the longest bone of our body, or the thigh bone, attaches with the pelvic girdle or the hip girdle. So if we consider our body as a trunk, so location of the pelvic girdle, either two sides on the of the pubic symphysis, this forms the lower part of the trunk. If you consider this as a trunk, so this is the lower part of the trunk, is the pelvic girdles, formed by the fusion of three bones, namely ilium, ischium and the pubis. And what is pubic symphysis? Let me show you with the color. This is the pubic symphysis. This is the ilium, ischium and the pubis. This is the pubis symphysis here. So pelvic or hip girdle is formed by three bones, ilium, ischium and pubis. And what is pubic symphysis? It is a cartilaginous movable joint which joins two pubic bones. So this pubic symphysis is a movable joint, cartilaginous in nature. It joins two pubic bones. So these two pubic bones are joined here with pubic symphysis. And what is acetubulum? It is a cup-like depression. You see, this is a cup-like depression here, and junction of three bones, that is ilium, ischium and pubis. What is the function of the pelvic or the hip girdle? It head of the femur bone fits in the acetubulum. So in this acetubulum, the head of the femur, which is the thigh bone, attaches. And now comes the obturator foramen. Now obturator foramen. These two rounded structures you find hollow, these are the obturator foramen. Between ischium and the pubis bone there is a large oval shaped opening called as the obturator foramen. Let me show you with this picture. These two hollow openings, oval openings, are called the obturator foramen. Limb bones. Total number of pairs 2. This is one pair. This is one pair. This is one pair called as forelimbs or hand. It has got 30 bones in total. And the hind limbs, let me show you. Hind limbs, that is the legs, it also has 30 bones. So limb bones total 2 in pair, and forelimbs it has 30 bones, and hind limb also it has 30 bones. Now what are the function of this appendicular skeleton? Function of the appendicular skeleton: protect the abdominal visceral organs, that is, it protects the abdominal internal organs, maintain center of gravity, and thus helps in erect posture of man. This is very important.